I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
When the shockwave came after Trump's tariffs, well, for transnational companies, what they think about might be relocating their factories or adjusting business strategies to cope with costs. But some local small business owners in America are scratching their heads and have no idea what the future holds. And Ryan is one of them.
I've been doing business in China for 15 years. We manufacture men's clothing, tank tops, underwear, stuff like this. So we manufacture men's clothing in China, and then we send it by cargo ship to USA, and then we sell to stores in the USA and Canada. At that time, the tariff they raised was really small, maybe 10% more than what we were paying before. So it was kind of insignificant compared to the 145% that he just implemented. Well, basically, I told our factory that, finish the orders that we already placed, because I'm not going to cancel the ones we already order, but I'm not going to order anything new, because with a tariff of that much, there's not going to be any profit left at all. None. The problem is, so for big companies like H&M, they have a huge department, can do research on other factories in other countries and go and make those contacts. But for me, it took me 15 years to get where I am now with our Chinese factories. And for me to have to go to another country, I don't speak the language there, I don't know any factories there, and have to develop those business contacts again, it's almost not worth the effort. And who's to say who Trump's gonna decide next year is the enemy, right? Maybe next year Vietnam is gonna have a really high tariff, or India's gonna have a really high tariff. So we're in this position where we don't know what we should be doing. Our shipper warehouse today said that her other American customers also stopped doing the orders. So it's not just our company that's having issues, it's like all the importers from the US have basically stopped ordering. It depends on if they can survive 4 years, right? I know a lot of small fashion companies, like in Los Angeles, I'm friends with some of those bosses, they're basically just gonna close their business because for them to have to restart everything, the whole supply chain restart it, it's not worth the effort. I mean, I can see that factories would bring more jobs in the US, but we don't have that skilled labor. College students don't know how to use a sewing machine. They don't know how to do all of those machine work, right? Even though I've been doing business for 15 years. And so it's almost impossible to find a factory in the US. Well, if you look at what he did with electronics, right? Nowhere else really produces all of this flat screen TVs, iPads, computers, things like that. If we don't get them from China, we're not getting them basically, right? So you can see he rolled back the tariffs because he realized that China's the only source for those items. I don't think the rising prices have hit yet because the stores and the wholesalers are still selling their stock that they imported under the old tariff. But supposedly in the next month or two, that's when all of the existing stock is gonna run out. So in a month or two, that's when the prices are really gonna go up. So I think right now they don't notice it yet, but they're going to. There's been analysis of how the US economy sort of left out a lot of people, especially in the old manufacturing parts like Detroit, places like in the Rust Belt. And they've sort of been left out of the sort of new world economy, right? So I understand they're having issues with adjusting to sort of modern day economy, but I don't think that tariffs are the way to fix the problem. I think that a lot of Trump's followers understand or accept what Trump says in terms of there's going to be pain to make any progress. And that's the narrative that he's telling right now, is that, yeah, there's going to be pain, there's going to be inflation while the tariffs are implemented, but in the long run, things are going to be better for the country. And I think the problem is that a lot of Americans don't know how the economy works that well. And so they don't have the education to sort of have their own mind about what the reality of the situation is.